All right. Oh, happy Monday, and welcome to Grace and Gossip. I am your host, Christal XO, and welcome back to Grace and Gossip. I have been, if you guys watch this channel, you know I have been in Italy. Sugar Pie and I went on a fantastic voyage to Sardinia, Italy for almost 3 weeks, about 2.5 weeks. And it was an amazing trip. I was on with Scorpio Mo for our Wednesday and Friday. And can I tell you guys, it almost killed me, but it was important to be here with my people. Grace and Gossip I couldn't do because Mondays, the project I was working on, we went really, really long on Mondays. And so that was kind of difficult. But I knew, we could get back to all the gossip and all the grace, when I got back. So thank you to all of you that tuned in while I was away and held things down. We had some pretty interesting conversations. I think one of them I was completely asleep for. One Friday I was just so just out of it. But I wanted to make sure that I came through for the conversation on the Never Ever Mets. It was crazy, but Grace and Gossip is here today. We have a lot to talk about. Today our topics are going to be Real Housewives of Atlanta and wrapping up the Diddy trial. So stay tuned. We're going to get into that later on today, but later on tonight. But first of all, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my experience. Like I said, Sugar Pie and I went to Sardinia to work on a project. And Sardinia, Italy, if you did not tune in to hear my explanation of the location, it is in a location that is called a blue zone. And, I came back, I feel like I had kind of an eat, pray, love experience. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie with Julia Roberts, and it was based on a book. But this woman got fed up with her life. Things weren't going the way she envisioned. And so she went on this trip to Italy and she really enjoyed herself. And I went to Italy, and, for those of you that watch, hi Linnell, you probably know that I have had a very eventful year. This has been an eventful year. So, my family moved in with me. I got my hair locked. I kind of have been switching more into doing more, being more of a writer, less of a publicist. Like, it's been a really eventful year. I am in the full throes of being an empty. My kids are totally grown. Of course, I've been married going on 5 years. So it's been a very eventful year. I met my sister. Like, this has been some of the biggest milestones that you would ever expect to deal with. My sister, who I've never met before, reached out to me via ancestry.com, talked to her. We've been developing a relationship. I've shared that with you guys. So it's just been a lot. And so for me to go to Italy for 2.5, almost 3 weeks, and just myself, away from my family, away from my husband, I did take this little one over here with me. And I'm so glad I did. She had such an amazing time, and she was the perfect travel companion. But, it just really gave me a chance to kind of reconnect with Christal. And I'm going to be very, very candid with you guys. I try to be that way, but I'm trying to get even more candid. So if you guys are in the chat, please let me know. Please say hello, because like I said, I'm going to have a really candid conversation before we jump into this tea on the Real Housewives and later the Diddy trial. But, because I've been going through a lot emotionally this year, specifically starting with like late last summer up until now, I had not been taking care of myself. You guys know I tried the 75 hard. I was not able to complete that. Hey, Druzy. And so as a result, I was not eating right. I was not getting my workout in. I actually, had gained some weight, which I felt very self-conscious about. So I go to Italy and I'm always, talking to myself, and I'm like, Christal, who goes to Sardinia, Italy, with extra weight, right? I think we all have like a weight or a body size that we feel comfortable at. And I don't care if it's, if you feel comfortable at a 2 and someone else feels comfortable at a 12, someone else may feel comfortable at an 18. But if you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel comfortable, right? So I had really gotten to a space where I didn't feel comfortable. And, it's interesting because on this show, a lot we talk about, we have very candid conversations about the cast of different reality shows. And a lot of times people in the chat will be very, very upset when we talk about weight and things. And I totally get it. I mean, I myself, like I said, dealing with weight, and I've dealt with it on this channel, off and on. But specifically over the last year, I just have not been taking care of myself because I've been under so much emotional duress. I just really haven't found space for me, right? I've been trying to make a lot of other people happy. And as a result, they are not happy, but I am not happy either. And so I told myself, like, Christal, for the first couple of days, I got to Italy and I'm in this breathtakingly beautiful environment. And I did not want to take any pictures, of myself because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable at this weight. I feel very self-conscious. And so I just didn't want to. And I talked to a couple of friends of mine, were reaching out like, hey, how are things over in Italy? How are you doing? And one of them in particular, Tracy, shouts out to Trey, Wright, who has Black Diamond Edible Creations. She said, Christal, she's like, you're not taking any pictures of yourself. We want to see you, in Italy. And I said, hey, Tracy, I don't feel it. I feel very self-conscious. I'm very disappointed in myself, for gaining weight this year and not being comfortable. And she really just encouraged me and, told me not to waste time feeling self-conscious, but to really enjoy and be present, right, in every moment. And so I listened. I think part of what I've learned, over the last probably 10 years, is that we're always a work in progress, all of us, right? And so me understanding that I'm still learning, right? And this is a person I consider a friend and, I've done business with. And I just took what she said to heart. And so I just decided I was going to enjoy the trip. I also decided that I was going to enjoy everything that Italy had to offer. And that was the food, and so I'm like, oh my God, I'm over here with this amazing food. I'm already self-conscious about my weight. I don't want to go back to Atlanta even bigger than I left. But I just decided I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to enjoy myself. So can I tell you all, every meal in Italy is served with bread first. Now, I know some people don't struggle with bread, but that is not me. Bread is my friend. Actually, it may not be my friend, but I love bread. I've always loved bread. It could be a cracker. It could be a croissant. It could be really like, crusty bread like that you eat with dinner. So olive oil, bread, cracked pepper. Oh my goodness. Cherry tomatoes. I'm all about it. So thank you, Consumer O. So I enjoyed fish. I enjoyed fresh fish, just fresh food. It was just amazing. And I told myself I was not going to, after that conversation with Tracy, I was not going to think about weight. Coincidentally, what is so interesting is that in deciding to be present and not deciding to obsess like I often do about pounds and weight and food and looking crazy and wondering if other people are going to be looking at me like she doesn't need to be eating that bread or whatever. And I just decided to focus and enjoy and not worry if other people were looking at me. A lot of the people I was with did not have my same issues with weight. In fact, I don't think anybody that I was working with over there did. Everyone was in great shape. So that's kind of hard not to feel self-conscious when you're around people that are like barely 120 pounds. But I did, and we walked everywhere. Long story short, I ended up losing 7 pounds, right? And it wasn't because of anything. I indulged. When I tell you guys, I indulged. I had pizza. I'm not a pasta eater, but I did have bread. I had pizza. I had delicious food. I ended up not really eating a lot of red meat because the seafood was so good, and I realized I didn't really want that. I did not. I did not deny myself anything that I wanted. And what I learned is, first of all, the food over there is so much more healthy for you. So I was eating a lot of fresh food, food without preservatives. Even though I did have bread, the bread was gluten free, so it didn't make you feel heavy. Literally every meal they eat with bread, but no one over there was overweight. And I actually exercised, but it wasn't like I gotta go get these steps in. It was just like walking to the pizzeria, walking to the grocery store, walking to set, walking different places, just because every day, and I think I told you all this, from 2 to 7, everything shuts down because people there really, really, really prioritize family and community and spending time with family. And so when they were shut down, I just would walk, and then just getting out and enjoying the weather. I had to take Sugar Pie out. She was, like I said, perfect. I don't know what, she's knocked out right now, but she was a perfect companion, and she went everywhere. People there loved her. It was so funny. People would come up to her, "Ciao, Bella, ciao, Sugar Pie, look at Sugar Pie." They loved her. But I learned a lesson. I just wanted to come back and share that with you guys before we get into that. Number one, the obsessing about perfection is something that I think I've been slowly releasing over the last year. Locking my hair. My hair doesn't ever look perfect, but it does look like crystal, right? And so I'm still getting used to that. But what I love is I wake up in the morning and my hair is mine, and it's me, and I don't have to put on anything that's not me. And for me, that was very important. It's me. And even with the weight, am I at my goal weight now? No, but I am feeling so much more confident just in living and being. And I think a lot of times, specifically when you're obsessing about trying to look a certain way or trying to do something, number one, if I had continued doing that for the entire experience, I would have missed out on the beauty of just the experience. Every day was an opportunity to wake up and be surrounded in a beautiful environment, right? And eating food is not a bad thing, I think so often we punish ourselves, and then we are so tough on ourselves, specifically us as Black women. We are just so hard on ourselves, and we almost feel guilty if we are not being hard on ourselves. And I just want to say that is not healthy. While I was there, like I said, I wasn't even there for 3 weeks, but 5 people that I know personally passed away during that time. And those 5 people were all between the ages of 45 and 55. And so, as difficult as that was to hear, one of those people, I'm sure a lot of people, Ananda Lewis. I had interviewed her and I talked to her about doing a collaboration with a friend of mine. Shocking, to hear, and hurtful, but also just a reminder that, as I always say on here, we have no idea. We're not promised anything. We're not promised tomorrow. And stress is probably a much bigger killer than the food that we eat, which we know is bad for us. But I just want to challenge you guys. We all of us cannot live in a blue zone. I could not live in a blue zone if I wanted to. Sardinia is way too expensive to go, but it was a great opportunity to just see a difference. And if I could bring something back from there, I drank water with every meal. I didn't have soda. I just, I walked, I got out, but it wasn't like the type of exercise that comes with stress. It was the type that is about enjoying life. And so I just want to challenge you all to bring a little bit of that to you. The importance of a blue zone is the fact that the people there in that area, because of the lifestyle, because of the healthy water, because of the the food that's farm to table, because of the air not being polluted, because of the lifestyle of shutting down between 2 and 7 and spending time with family. People live to be over 100 years old. Many people, as become centurions, in those places. And that's so very different from where we live. Like I said, I came back, and every day almost, it was dealing with a loss, of someone. So just was a unique experience. And I feel like the only reason I would go through that would be to come back and share that with you all. We cannot live in a blue zone, but you can bring small pieces of that, or you can be aware, you can be cognizant. And as much as, Mo and I joke around on this channel, I also want to make sure that people understand I am a woman. I understand all the different, insecurities that we have, because I have them myself, and so, we are going to be honest and be, to have conversation, but that's never done in a way to try to hurt someone. And trust me, I've been on the butt end of all of those, of any, number of jokes, but I've also learned not to take myself so seriously. And the fact that I'm able to share with you all kind of frees you. When you take ownership of everything that you're dealing with yourself, no one can hurt you with it. I was blessed to be able to have a conversation with Tupac's mother, and she shared that with me. I was embarrassed about going through a divorce, and she just told me that if I owned what I'd gone through, then no one else could use that against me, right? So just as opposed to hiding in and being super insecure about it, just take ownership of what you're dealing with. And so I would say I feel better about myself, not because of the 7 pounds, but because something worked different than usual, right? Usually you beat yourself up, you starve yourself, and then you lose some pounds and you feel good about yourself, and then you eat food again and you gain them back, or you keep starving yourself or whatever. But I didn't starve myself. I enjoyed, and all I did was relax, and I had better results doing that in 2 weeks than I would have had, doing it the other way. And so maybe that can help someone else, as you're going about your journey. And remember that the things that are most important in life are not the things that are costly, right? Sardinia is a very, very, very elite area, but the thing that makes people live to be well into their hundreds is not their money, it's how they look at life. And I think that's good for all of us, right? So just take a moment, after listening to this show, or if you're watching the replay, to think about how you perceive life. And one of the great things about perception is you have the ability to change it. If you're always looking at the negative, you have the ability to make that change. And so just like when Tracy told me to stop being self-conscious, right? And stop, not enjoying my time, it was within my power to stop, right? So when I put on a bathing suit and got in the pool with amongst all these people that were not of color and were not of curvature, I had the ability to stop and choose the way my outlook was going to be. And I think we all have that. So, I'm off my soapbox, not meaning to be too preachy, but it is grace and gossip. So we started with a little bit of grace, and now we're going to get into the gossip. So let me know what you guys think about that, the blue zone, and if you could take anything from that, even if it's just drinking more water or making working out more a part of just your daily life, as opposed, just getting out of your car, parking further away, like little things so that you aren't dreading them and stressing yourself out over trying to make yourself better. Because I think so many times for me, I always am like, oh my God, you need to be losing weight. So then I'm stressing out about doing that, which is negative and is actually working against me, right? So moving on. I got back Saturday, had the opportunity to check out last night, Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I just want to say that this season has proven to me, I keep saying to people that I think the whole idea of the Real Housewives franchise is antiquated, right? Number one, the show doesn't really celebrate housewives, right? Um, the initial idea was like these privileged elite housewives that were able to have access to this very, very opulent lifestyle because of who they were married to. Well, that is not the case in Atlanta at all. Even the woman who is married to a wealthy man, the marriage is not in a great place. I'm just going to come out and say it. Angela Oakley, I like Angela. I think she was a great addition to this season. However, her marriage is not one that I think fits the stereotypical idea. It's not the ideal Real Housewives relationship. He is a celebrity. He's a performer, pro basketball player. But even how he interacts with her, it just doesn't give older man that enjoys spoiling his young wife. It doesn't give that at all. It gives she's on the brink of losing that any day now. And maybe she's been on that brink for years, but it just is not one that I think the viewing audience has had an opportunity to really look at and admire, right? Everyone else on the show is divorced, except for Shamia, who spent most of her time as a friend of the show and this season was brought on. So I believe that Real Housewives is an antiquated idea because even outside of Atlanta, the whole idea of a wealthy man that would come in and save you and, he would have access to his millions and his friends and his toys and all that. Like that was something when the Housewives first was, created. But at this point, I think we have more women who are self-sufficient, who are creating their own realities and their own financial success. And then, they may want a significant other, but it just doesn't lend to housewife. Housewife, the very term housewife suggests that the woman is not working. She is at home taking care of the home while the husband is out earning the bacon, and then she fries it up in a pan. That is not what happens on any of these shows. Even the women that are not of color do not have that reality. Like you have women who are doing their thing. I mean, look at Lisa Vanderpump, who I am a Lisa Vanderpump stan. I love her. But she is not sitting at home being a housewife. She is out here. I'm sure her husband was extremely wealthy, but she has taken the torch and now she has multiple businesses, restaurants. She's not a housewife. A housewife is almost like the Stepford wife, ideology where you would have this hot younger woman who is a trophy for the older rich man. We don't see that, but certainly not in Atlanta. Shamia and her husband, this show, this season has proven that you can bring in young, hot women, right? You can bring in a different demographic. It is not going to save the audience. This finale that happened yesterday was the worst I've ever seen. I think even worse than last season. It was a bunch of disjointed storylines. Okay. First of all, Drew and Ralph have fought the entire season, like ridiculously fought. Drew fought to have the marriage, the divorce decree sealed. When the judge said that it was not going to be sealed, everything came out that Ralph was accusing Drew, and Drew almost admitted, I think she pretty much did admit that she had a lesbian affair, right? So they fought the entire season. And then last night, Ralph calls her from the basement. She's upstairs. He's downstairs. He calls her and says, "Can we talk? Do I have permission to come upstairs?" He comes upstairs. He sits down at the piano, starts to tickle the keys, and then says, you know what? We should just be able to co-parent. Really, Ralph? Really? After all this? That is, it was just ridiculous. It didn't make sense. It was obviously coached and made, it did not tie up that ridiculous debacle. Drew took no ownership. And Drew's hair is horrible. I don't know what's happening. I like Drew. You guys know I represent TLC, and Drew played T-Boz in the Crazy Sexy Cool movie, which aired on VH1 years ago. I met Drew. I liked her very much. I really wish she would fix her hair. I wish she'd fix her hair. And it's just because if you guys watched last night, she's got blondish red hair, but then it goes like it's just various shades of blondish happening. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not complimentary. She made fun of Portia's go naked hair, but I will say for all Portia's shenanigans and foolishness, she always looks flawless. You cannot take that from her. Her hair always looks flawless. Her outfits, some of them, but I mean, she always pulls it together. Drew has got to stop using go naked hair. If that's what she's using, she's got to stop. They're sabotaging you, Drew. And maybe go hang out with Kenya and get some Kenya Moore hair care or something. I don't know, but she needs to do. I just don't understand what's going on with Drew's hair. Angela, girl, I just, your husband, you trying to prove, going to great extremes to prove that people are setting you up. Yes, I'm certain that the women on the show are trying to prove that he's cheating on you. However, where are they getting this? Where is this coming from? Where is the smoke? Where is the smoke? Because I would be willing to bet the smoke is connected to Charles. It's almost like the smoke is coming from the top of Charles' gray hair. That's where the smoke is coming from, Angela. I don't think this, Lord knows Phaedra is known to weave a web of deceit. We're going to get into that in a minute. But I just can't help but think that with all this smoke, there's got to be some place it's coming from. And I feel like if we trace it all back, it's going to come from Charles. It's going to come from Charles. Yeah. So Drew, ridiculous. Ralph, ridiculous. Shamia unraveled, right? I thought in the beginning, you know what? This makes sense. Shamia has the best situation, or at least the one that seems most like a housewife, as far as the stereotype. She has a very wealthy husband, right? Very wealthy African husband that has an commercial HVAC company that has afforded her a life of a millionairess, right? Wonderful. However, as the show went on, I don't know if she couldn't handle, it's something about taking people that have been a friend of the show and giving them a peach. I feel like they are trying to prove they are peach worthy and they go in hot. And I feel like Shamia started the season well, but then she got caught in the pettiness that Britt and Kelly were weaving. And she started talking about Portia. Now, I think Portia was jealous of her. However, Shamia should not have trusted others and talked to them, because now she looks crazy. And there was the scene of her being sad about her. I said this before, if you're sad about your daughter, you go home. You don't keep drinking and taking shots, and it just doesn't feel good. She just unraveled towards the end of the season. I started wondering, why is she here? I don't like it. And then her performance, I don't know if everyone at their core desires to be an artist. I worked in the music business for years as a publicist. I got to tell you guys, first of all, I have never desired to be a singer. I cannot sing. And I know that, and I'm okay. And if I ever was on a television show, I actually filmed like 4 months for a PR television show years ago in 2014. But guess what? Regardless of what I ever do in life, if I get my, which when I will get my TV series, I'm never gonna go into the studio and try to drop. Um, I'm never gonna get in the booth and try. I don't know what it is about getting on a reality show that everyone wants to make an album. Everyone wants to sing. Now I understand people are going to say, well, Shamia was doing this before she got on. Yes, but I remember being a publicist and talking to young girls that wanted to sing, and especially one in particular that could not sing. And I remember telling her, I got her a gig modeling, and she was furious, and she was like, "I'm a singer. I'm an international pop star." And I was like, "But you can't sing, and if you can't sing, you should do what works, right? Because if you find something that works, that's great." So for Shamia, I don't know that she has a bad voice, but I do know that she does not have a voice that is going to make singing the lead in her life. Singing is not going to be where she gets her bread and butter from. She's going to have to hold on to that husband, because whatever she can do in the booth is not going to supersede what he does with the HVAC. Let's just say that. I can say that with surety. I can say that with confidence. It's not going to. It's not going to. It's not going to overtake it, right? So her performance was horrible. I'm not going to even. It's horrible. I know she had RL there and a few other like people in the music industry that probably just were cool for a cameo. But yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. Drew can sing, but again, I don't know what it is. You're an actress, you're pretty good at that. Hey, I know we're all multi-talented, so maybe going in the studio is everyone's right. I don't know. But yeah, Shamia, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm trying to go up. Kelly is the tiniest person with the biggest personality I've ever seen on this show, on the Housewives franchise. I don't really, she's not a housewife. She's in divorce. The husband and Kelly, it just doesn't create the picture that I feel like she wanted us to. It's not whatever she's selling. It just doesn't go down. It doesn't go down easy, right? It just doesn't feel real. It feels like she's trying really diligently. I did like her more as the season progressed, but if you guys see the ex-husband and then hear her explanation of things sound a bit strange. Before I move on to Kelly, though, we did hear Shamia acknowledge in this last finale that there were rumors that she cheated on her husband. I hope that's not true, because again, that's probably going to be her ticket to continued success, is that husband. And it doesn't bode well, for her future. Kelly, I don't know about these chicken and waffles. I don't know. She claims that the divorce is why she can't open this. I don't know. Kelly, she tried. She tried to give us a good season. She was not overly egregious because she did try to deal with the other ladies, and she wasn't too problematic, but it still just doesn't give like, I want to every Sunday. I don't want to. Cynthia, I like Cynthia. I think Cynthia is one of the few women that joined Housewives that had a wonderful career. She was a bona fide supermodel prior to this. She's obviously a beautiful woman still. She's been through some bad relationships. And this season, she was just kind of there. Didn't really need her. Wouldn't really miss her. I think she'd probably be better off doing something else. And I think she probably would agree. she just didn't really serve a purpose this season. I guess it was to just add a little bit of continuity, but it just looks like Cynthia is the auntie that's just laughing at everything and not really kind of displaced. Britt, in Georgia, they announced that porn sites are no longer legal, that you have to like do something to prove that you are a certain age and you have a right. You have to give them your information and they have to verify. It's just a big thing, right? Britt doesn't belong on the Housewives. She belongs someplace else. And the fact that she actually took her mic off and said that she was not going to lower herself, she self-destructed this entire season. It was obvious that you never seen someone who doesn't belong and they know they don't belong. And as a result, they take out their own garbage. She took herself out, and that's what she did. She should never have replaced Kenya. They should have let her go after making the threat to bring a pistol, or they should have kept both of them or let both of them go. But she self-destructed. She's a phony. And I think it came out throughout the season. And I think she couldn't handle lying. And so she kind of picked fights with everyone else and then left. And now we hear that she's suing the show for an ungodly amount of money. And I hope that this makes Bravo kind of look at the Housewives, or at least the Atlanta Atlanta franchise, and think, what can we do here? Because they tried to bring in 3 new ladies and this failed. This season was horrible. Before we get out of here talking about the Housewives, I have the outfits for the reunion, and I want to go through what I like about them and what I don't, and who I think is best dressed and who is the worst dressed. And this episode of the reunion, there are 3 parts, of course. You guys know I'm going to talk about every single one of them, but it is not going to air this coming Sunday, thank God, because it's the 4th of July and we all have a lot going on, but it will air the following Sunday. Portia spent the finale in the house. She had like not even 15 minutes, probably like a 5-minute segment in the house that she fought Simon for all season. So she got to film one scene in said home with her daughter and, surprise, surprise, her mother. And then she said, well, in the decree, we both are going to come in if the prenup stands, we'll both get what we got and then leave. So probably she won't have that house once we come back next season, because Portia can't afford that house by herself. I kind of feel like that's the only reason she wanted to be with Simon, was because he was great to provide the ambiance that she would need to be on television, because she saw him do that for Fallon and she knew that, or she believed a certain thing. I honestly believe Portia, first of all, the fact that she did not ever take accountability for the fact that she should not have married Simon is ridiculous. She did this big exclusive with People, and I saw it, but I could not get on and talk about it. I probably should do a breakdown of that one day this week. First of all, she disrespected our sister Angela Bassett and our sister Terry McMillan. Okay, she did a spoof cover. It wasn't even supposed to be a spoof, but I'm going to call it a spoof of Waiting to Exhale. And she likened herself to Terry McMillan's character. I mean, not Terry McMillan, Angela Bassett's character, whose husband had cheated on her for 11 years. You guys know the song. For all the time that I was loving you, you were busy loving yourself. I would stop breathing if you told me to. Now you're busy loving someone else. 11 years I sacrificed, and you could leave me at the drop of a dime. Swallowed my tears, stood by your side. I should have left your ass a long time ago. You guys know the song. We all know the song. How dare her put herself in the shoes of Bernadette from Waiting to Exhale? How dare her? How dare her put herself in the shoes of a woman who actually was in a real marriage, and a woman who, I don't even care that the woman didn't exist. Portia had no right to even pretend to put herself in those iconic shoes. It was just ridiculous. It was disrespectful. It was disrespectful. I did not like it. And that sham of a marriage that she did, we don't feel bad for you. The fake tears that she generated to try to show that she was hurt. It was very clear that you went after this man because he had money. You enjoyed the look of it. And then when you realized that there was holes in it, you got out. You got out. You set him up. You probably called ISIS on him. All of that. So the fake tears, the horrible spoof of Waiting to Exhale, it just made me dislike her this season even more. I will say she looks flawless, but no, it's disrespectful. Totally disrespectful. And I had to say that. Don't play with our cultural iconic movies. Don't do that. Do not do that. Let me know if you guys saw that, because it was disgusting to me that she would try to emote sympathy, and to try to gain sympathy from an audience that knows she didn't ever really care about that man. You married him in less than a year. You are not a victim, ma'am. And he was married to someone else when you guys were engaged. You're not a victim. You have no right to try to put yourself in the same shoes as Bernadette. Okay? What else? Who else? Let's just get to these. Phaedra, child. They brought Phaedra back. And it appears, I guess you know that Phaedra was not sorry for what she did to Candy years ago, the lie. But being involved in just the way that what irritated me about last night the most about Phaedra, there was a scene where Portia was sitting down with her sister and Portia and Phaedra, and Portia's cousin has passed on. Portia is sitting there, and she said the ladies text her, and Phaedra says that people know that she is one of the people that you can go through to get to heaven. Like I feel like it was very disrespectful to the cousin's passing. Phaedra, I know she allegedly owns a funeral home, but to say that she's at the gates of it was just disrespectful. I don't know another word. Disrespectful to the viewers, ridiculous, and very much made light of Portia's cousin's passing. It was disgusting. And it just like she comes back to continue to play these games. She's playing games again with this young man, whatever. Let's get to these dresses because I want to know what you guys think about these outfits. Now, I was told that let's look at let me pull it up. Let me pull up exactly what theme for this was. The theme for the Housewives get up, right? So they're all in yellow or some type of bejeweled color. Let's see here, because I got some notes on what they were supposed to be trying to pull off. And then you guys let me know if you think that's what this is. If you think that that's what this is. There are some that are good and some that are bad, but okay. So let's see. Okay. The peach holders were supposed to be, this was supposed to be old Hollywood glam, and yellow and gold gowns complete with ornate beading, embellishments, and slits. This was supposed to be like in some type of way to honor Grenada. It says channel their inner goddess from Grenada, and it's supposed to be like that was the idea was supposed to be like to honor Grenada with these gowns. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's start here with Kelly. Uh, Kelly is teeny tiny, and this dress, she said that she is giving ocean goddess energy. I am here to bloom and to feel good, to look good, and giving my best. We are giving Cinderella had a peach. Um, it's not horrible. I didn't like most of what Kelly wore this season because she's so tiny, and it seemed like she was trying to find every way to show off her boob job. Like she was straining to do that. I like that the boobs are a little bit covered up here, but what I don't like is the hair. You see how the dress has ruffles in several places around the mid upper thigh, and then almost like around that rose is another layer of ruffles, and then it looks like the hair has ruffles too. I would have liked her hair to be straight. Like it just is too much. It's too much. The hair has ruffles. The dress has ruffles. It's too much. It's just too much. I don't. The hair should have done something very different. I don't like it. I don't like it. You guys, let me know what you think. This is Kelly. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's not great. It's not great. Okay, on to Miss Angela. I can't tell if her dress is yellow or is it like a seafoam green. Okay, she says it is butter yellow with a bit of cleavage. So it's butter yellow, which means it's very, very sheer. Because it doesn't, the yellow, I guess against her skin is coming up like a little bit greenish. She said, it's simple. I wanted to do a simple dress with big hair. It is simple, but I don't think it's simple enough for that hair, because even though, there's not a lot to the dress as far as like what's going on here, we see a cinched waist, the high slit, because there's so much going on with this body. It's the top here, the bustier, and I don't know what this is, but the girls are all the way out, because look at this. This is all the way open here in the middle. It's a lot going on. So even though she's trying, this is her version of simple, it's really not. And the hair is still not right. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't love it. I'd probably give it a 6. I don't love it. Going back to Kelly, I'm going to give Kelly a 6 too. Maybe a 5.5, because that hair, them ruffles and that hair in that dress, I don't like it. Moving on to Shamia. Shamia says, I want to bring in the sunshine. I want to brighten the situation. I want it to bring some warmth. I actually like this dress. It's very different. It looks like, it almost looks like a lily pad, like flowers. I do love the hair with this dress. The hair is simple and letting the dress be the star, which I love. I think the jewelry is perfect. I like this. I think she looks really good. It's very different. That dress is doing a lot. So I love the fact that she didn't do a lot of extra, to go along with it. I think she did a great job with the hair and the accessories and the dress. I like Shamia's dress. I like it. Moving on to Cynthia. Now this is the thing. Cynthia is so beautiful naturally. She's naturally beautiful. I don't usually have too much to say about Cynthia because she's just beautiful. I think I don't love this dress, but I do think this dress is appropriate for her. It shows off her body really well. It's appropriate. Actually, she looks great with those pleats, and the hair looks good with it. So I'm gonna give Cynthia. So let me see, Shamia. I'm gonna give Shamia a 9. I'm gonna give Cynthia an 8.5. I'm gonna give Cynthia 8.5. I like it. I don't really think that she could have done anything different. Maybe for me, I probably would have done an open-toed shoe with that. But I think she looks great. I love it. I think she looks really good. I like it. Let's see. Let's see. Whoa, my God. Jesus help us. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the worst dress of the night. I don't even know what to say, y'all. I'm yeah, this is worst dressed. I'm not even gonna rate. This is definitely just worst dressed. No, it's just no. The feathers, it looks cheap. It does look like a Temu dress. It looks like one of those dresses that you order online and and somebody tried to sew a dress to look like something, like there was a dress that it was supposed to look like, and this is the version that it didn't. This is the bad version. Like there was a good version in somewhere with, like, you know, some plumage, and then this just looks like some emaciated feathers that came out of a bat. It just, no. And again, the hair is horrible. The hair is horrible. And the hair would not have been horrible with another dress, but it's just too much. It's too, I don't want to look at it anymore. I don't want to look at it anymore. Portia. I feel like I went from, wait a minute, let me read what Drew said. Let me read y'all what Drew said. She said that she was going for a Grenada baby with her reunion look. We took traditional carnival elements, feathers, shimmer, heat, and reimagined them through a high glam lens. That is not what happened. I can see how. No, that's not what happened. But I mean, at Carnival, they do wear feathers. Yeah, she did nothing better just wearing a Carnival outfit, because there's nothing high glam about this. Moving back on. Okay, so that was my worst dress. I gotta admit, I Portia, Portia does not miss when it comes to her look. She says, I'm definitely going for Diana Ross, Beyonce-esque modern robot bad bitch. Like, that's pretty much the look in a nutshell. And I think she captured it. I think she captured it. I'm gonna give her a 9, just because the only reason I won't give her a 10 is because I just feel like when you sit down, that slit is so high. It's so high. It's just gonna be not appropriate, right? It's just too much. Like, I think that she could have accomplished, the body is amazing, especially if that was her theme. But I think when you sit down, it just is not going to get, like, that's not, it could have been a little, the slit didn't have to be that revealing and it still would have been dope. But I think she looks beautiful. I think the hair works with that. I think she looks great. I love it. I really, really like that. I mean, for her, for what she was trying to do, she did it. She nailed it, hands down. And she always does. You know, like I said, you can say a lot of things about Portia. You can say she steals people's man, and I believe she does. For her to say that she should go after Charles Oakley, she says a lot of, she just is reckless at the mouth. But she looks good. And even though I like what Shamia had on, I just feel like Portia killed it because she did her theme and what the dress looks like and how it's flawless. I hate it, but that's what it is. Okay. Ooh, Phaedra. And you know what? Whenever you think Phaedra is this, I feel like Phaedra. I don't like this. This is ridiculous. She looks like a rejected extra from Aquaman. You remember Aquaman when the mer people? She looks like the mer people that she was trying to. It's no. My reunion inspiration stems from the powerful spirit of Grenadian women, resilient, graceful, and deeply connected to their heritage. Grenada's culture radiates a natural beauty that is both timeless and commanding. I sought to embody that essence, a princess warrior wrapped in a sarong, exuding the poise of a goddess. No, No, it was like a bad Halloween costume. The headdress, like I could have, like, what she said sounded great, but I don't think a god it, like, it just, it's too much. It's too much. The shoe, the jewelry over the breast, the headpiece, the the what is that lady that was the Rapunzel locks? Like, it just, it's too much. It's too much. It is not far from Drew at this point. It's not far. And I expected Phaedra to do better. I know she likes costumey, over the top, but this is too much. This is just way too much. And what is the rest of the hair looking like with that, with the Rapunzel Lady Godiva locks? It's not it, and what is that gonna look like when she sits now? I don't know. I didn't like it, y'all. Did y'all let me know if y'all liked it? It was bad. It was bad. It definitely looked like extra. I like Portia and Shamia's dresses. Definitely were the best. I mean, they definitely flawless. Drew and Phaedra need to go home. Cynthia and Cynthia actually looked better. I would say, if I rate them, I would say Portia, Shamia, Cynthia, um, Angela. I don't know. Phaedra and Drew both was in a tough fight, for no. They were in a fight for no. Horrible. Yeah. Hey, Darlinda. It does look like Queen of the Damned. It was horrible, but not even Queen of the Damned, because Aaliyah looked good. Like, it like if a little kid tried to pull that off. Yeah, no. But anyway, we will watch. We will tune in on the 13th. Kelly's above. Oh, I forgot about Kelly. I would rate Kelly above. The ruffled hair and the ruffled dress worried me though. And Kelly is all of like 4 feet, so it's just a lot going on. I think I'm gonna stick with Angela above Kelly, because Kelly it's just too much, y'all. It's just too much. Too much ruffles and stuff. Yeah. And I'm a girly girl. I love, but no, it's all bad. Okay, so we're gonna watch. We'll talk about, so once the reunion airs, Grace and Gossip will be dedicated to that reunion, because I just feel like we're going to have a lot to discuss. From what I saw, Charles confronted the gentleman. There was just a lot going on. So we will get into that. Not this coming Monday, but the following one after the show, the reunion airs. I wanted to do a little bit of a pivot to talk about the Diddy case, because of course, even though I was in Sardinia, I did hear all of that was going on. And I think, I just want to talk tonight about the facts that the jury is going to have to deal with. So the prosecution actually rested, and the defense rested. So at this point, the jury has the case, which is kind of scary to me, simply because I don't feel like we as the general public heard everything. There was a lot that was seen in those videos that we didn't have access to. I think that we probably would have gotten the case probably would have done better if we weren't privy to so much of it, because there's so much going on in public opinion. People are having conversations about if they think he was guilty or not based on the evidence. And then people have kind of taken in sexual connotation into part of it. And I think, if you're looking at it from a legal standpoint, it's not about the freakiness. It's really about what was illegal or not illegal, right? And I think the abuse and the freaky nature kind of got confused, and people are like, oh, that's just freaky. But abuse is not freaky. Like, freaky does not include abuse, right? A lot of people may think it does, but it does not. It does not. And so I don't want to make any judgments, but I do want to just share with you all what the jury has to deal with. And so this is what the jury this is the verdict sheet that we have managed to get a copy of here. So they would have to answer on the racketeering conspiracy. How do you find the defendant? And so not guilty or guilty first. And then this is the definitions of if and only if you find the defendant guilty of count one, which types of racketeering acts do you unanimously find were involved in the offense? So acts involving kidnapping. We don't have the full transcript, or I don't have the full transcript, but according to my sources, a young lady did testify to that. Now, if the jury believed her or not is one thing, but we'll see. Acts involving arson, of course, we all know that was referring to Kid Cudi's car being blown up. And he testified. Several other people testified in that situation. We'll just have to wait and see how the jury comes out with it. I think that from what I've heard, there were other people involved that might have done some things for him. So we'll see if the jury actually believes that he was involved. Acts involving arson, that does not mean that he had to light the match, right? So acts involving arson mean that would have been a part of the offense. Acts involving bribery. Cassie's parents did testify that they were basically extorted, and that he told them that if they did not give him $50,000, he would put out video of their daughter. Proven or not proven, it's just a matter of how the jury sees that, how individual members of the jury see what they heard. Acts involving witness tampering, if he did that or not, if people were told not to say certain things. Acts involving forced labor, that's going to be an interesting one. And that would probably be, in my opinion, kind of difficult to prove. And then acts involving sex trafficking, I think that people have to understand, I think we think of sex trafficking as only young children, but sex trafficking is literally when people go across state lines to be involved in being paid for sex. So we'll see. Acts involving transportation for purposes of prostitution. Again, that's under the racketeering charge. And I don't see how that would not be proven. Acts involving transportation for purposes of prostitution, because people were flown to different places to do things. Acts involving drug distribution. Again, there were several people that testified to that. We will see if that comes back, proven or not proven. If and only if you find the defendant guilty of count one, did the pattern of racketeering activity include sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura? That's interesting, because I don't know if that's going to be rough. That's going to be rough. The second part of that, if and only if you found the defendant guilty of count one, did the pattern of racketeering activity include sex trafficking of Jane? I believe that is 50 Cent's baby mama, which is how much more unprofessional could that have sounded? Daphne Joy. Daphne Joy is the Jane I believe they're referring to. Count two is sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Again, Cassie, how do you find the defendant? And then the Mann Act of transportation. How do you find the defendant? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I feel like there's a lot in the beginning for the racketeering charge. I don't know about the end, because I think that it's going to be up to how people perceive the relationship. If they feel like Cassie was a willing participant, then he's probably going to be found not guilty, right? What I do know is that there are people Well, I shouldn't probably say that. It's probably going to get me into some trouble. So I won't say that. But I know there are a lot of this is going to rest on, I will say this, a lot of this is going to rest on how people perceive relationships. And if you believe that someone can be persuaded to do something, and if they own accountability for that, specifically in the situation that they were in, if you deem physical abuse to be inexcusable, or if you feel like, and there are a lot of people, unfortunately, it's crazy to me, it's a lot of women who still do not find physical abuse non-negotiable. So it is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I just wanted to talk about what the actual facts were. So that explained how the jury has to vote. And so I would say, yes, this is definitely going to change the dynamics of being flued out. Absolutely. But you know what? The sad part about it is I think so many women would see this and not, unfortunately, specifically women of color, do not consider that inexcusable. They just feel like if a person is abused, they still should be able to stand up and just, we'll get into it once the verdict comes back. But I would say, if I were on the jury, just from what we've heard, that I would find the first counts of what we saw, I would feel like the kidnapping, the arson, the bribery, not necessarily witness tampering, but the forced labor, I would say they proved everything on here besides witness tampering to me. And so I would find him guilty of that conspiracy. I would also say yes to sex trafficking, yes to transportation for purposes of prostitution. That's definitely proven. And yes to drug distribution. And yes to racketeering activity, including sex trafficking of Cassie. And but of Jane, no, because I did not hear physical abuse for Jane. Sex trafficking of Cassie, yes. The Mann Act, I'm not sure. But that's my opinion. I'm not on the jury. I didn't see all that they saw, but that's just from what I saw, how I would interpret that. Under the olive branch, it says, I'm not convinced. I don't think the prosecution proved RICO. In my opinion, they should have tried a lesser charge. But in my opinion, and we all are, entitled to our opinion. I guess for me, I think when people hear RICO charge, I think of something that's a lot more grandiose. But when you break it down to this right here, acts involving kidnapping, acts involving arson, because that's not, again, acts involving bribery, acts involving witness tampering, acts involving forced labor. I think out of the forced labor and witness tampering, I don't know, but the other charges, I think we definitely saw proof of that, right? I don't think that there's any question about that. But it's all going to come down to perception. So it's going to be interesting to see, and that could be true. Under the olive branch, it says, when the judge gets finished explaining reasonable doubt, I don't know. I think that some of those, there's not reasonable doubt, because look at that, like acts involving arson. Do we know that there were acts involving arson without a reasonable doubt? Yes. It doesn't say he had to have lit the match. It doesn't say he had to have said blah, 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 blah. If you feel like there were, without a reasonable doubt, there were acts involving arson, then that's a yes. It'd be interesting. None of us really know. And like I said, we were hearing things from people in the court. The media was not even exposed to everything that was shared with the jury. So we're all just giving our opinions. But I do hope this makes people think twice about what they would be willing to do to be in the company of rich and famous people, especially women. And I think this is a great time to have conversations with our daughters and our young women in our community. So in any case, that is my grace and gossip for tonight. I thank you guys for hanging out with me, my loyal people. Tammy, Druzy, I saw I had to go a little earlier. Miss Ty 28, thank you so much. Tammy, everybody that hung out tonight, I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think about those reunion fits. Again, like I said, you can say all you want to say about Portia, but that girl does not miss when it comes to the look. She's beautiful and she knows how to work what she got. I don't know. I know a friend of mine, Fiscani with the Ivy Showroom, styled her. Fiscani needs to style everybody, and not just style them, but also work with them on their hair and makeup choices, because it just was not giving professional reunion. But anyway, I love you guys for watching. Mo and I will be back on Wednesday with a special guest for Dating Diaries. So you guys don't want to miss that. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys are off to a productive week. Remember, try to find some things that you can implement into your life to make life, to improve your own quality of life. And on Wednesday, I'm going to share with you guys how, if you are in Atlanta, I am doing an event. I'm working with a group of women to do a staycation to kind of bring back some of that I pulled from Sardinia to Atlanta. So there's a great opportunity for women that want to come hang out and be around like-minded women that want to get their priorities in order and really want to learn to love on themselves for a better quality of life. I'll have some information about that. So I will see you guys right here Wednesday at 8 p.m. for Dating Diaries. And of course, as always, on Friday for Relationship Recap. I love you all. Have a great week, and I'll see you Wednesday.